So yeah, first article. Microsoft addresses rumors surrounding Xbox console future. I think this one was like a little bit about uh the actual like hardware of like the Xbox. Um and basically I guess there was some rumors. I'm going to read the article itself, but I think there was some rumors about Xbox like kind of moving away from physical hardware, which that kind of seems like what they're doing with like Game Pass and like their business strategy for like the past 10 years. Um and they've been, it's been very rocky to say the least for Xbox for a little while. What about Game Pass turning 30 fucking dollars? Yeah, that's what I'm about to get into also here. But let me read this. I don't think this article's that long. It said Microsoft has addressed the rumors suggesting that the future of Xbox hardware is up in the air. In a statement provided to Windows Central, Microsoft says that it's actively investing in the future Xbox systems. We are actively investing in our future first-party consoles and devices designed, engineered, and built by Xbox. For more details, the community can revisit our agreement announced with AMD. So yeah, they're kind of just like dispelling the rumors that they're like um planning on, moving away from like physical releases on consoles. I guess there was some leaks. Someone was leaking, or someone made a post on a forum suggesting that they were doing that, but I guess they caught on to that and they decided to refute those claims. But there's another article here. What was the next one? Okay, before we get into that, I thought there was another one that was Xbox related. Yeah, we were going to talk about the price increase for Game Pass. Microsoft like 40 minutes away from me. Don't worry, I'll rot for y'all. Yo, I appreciate it. Xbox switching up on me, and you're a loyal Xbox subscriber. That's crazy. Yeah. Game Pass went up from, I think it was around $20 to $30 now. And part of that, you know, if you guys remember, they acquired Activision. I don't remember how long ago that was. Yeah, this is kind of tied into Call of Duty, so I'm gonna talk about Call of Duty next. Basically, they acquired Activision for, I don't even, how much was that, bro? Let me see. Microsoft Activision acquisition. I think it was like a billion or a couple billion. Oh my god, not a couple billion. For $68.7 billion. That's a lot of doubloons. That's a lot of gold doubloons. Yeah, 68.7. I thought it was like 5 to 10 billion. That's crazy. And yeah, I mean, it makes sense because Activision's not just Call of Duty. It's, World of Warcraft. It was Destiny at the time, I think, too, and some other stuff, Diablo. So it's a huge company, but yeah, ever since they did that acquisition, oh my god, ad break. Sorry guys. Ever since they did that acquisition, they've like kind of been, I don't want to say struggling, but they've been having to, make certain decisions because of it, and that's why we're seeing a lot of layoffs, unfortunately. And it's, I don't know, I think Xbox or Microsoft, well, not Microsoft as a whole, but Xbox is in a weird place right now because if you couldn't tell, there's not a lot of games that are like tied to the Xbox name these days, or at least in terms of exclusives. Like I feel like pretty much all the games that get released that are published by Xbox are cross-platform, and a lot of them release on Game Pass. But from that, and between them branching out, and I don't know if you guys seen the handheld that I don't know if it came out yet, it might be like pre-orders up, the ROG Ally X. That's like the handheld that's supposed to be like kind of a competitor to the Steam Deck. Like it seems like they're moving in the direction, and with like cloud gaming and stuff like that, like even their advertising is all about being able to play Xbox games wherever on any device. That's like their whole motto and ethos right now. So like it makes sense that people would think that they're kind of moving away from physical console sales. And like honestly, like at least in terms of, this is just my opinion, I feel like in terms of like cultural relevance, like the Xbox name doesn't really hold as much weight as it used to. And I feel like on one hand it kind of seems like they're I think in terms of cultural relevance, it definitely seems like they're struggling. I don't know how they're like business wise, how they're doing sales wise and stuff. I'm sure they're still making, millions, billions of dollars, but in terms of keeping up relevance and like their plans for the future, it definitely seems pretty rocky right now. I will say like what Xbox does offer right now that like other, you know, like as compared to like the PS5 or even Nintendo right now, especially with the prices of the Switch 2. Um, Xbox, I will say, is like it's a good entry point for like a gamer. Like if you just want to have something that plays games, I think even the Series S is like a pretty good console, and especially with Game Pass, that was a really good deal. It made sense. Like that was a very good, at least in my opinion, that was a really good like strategy to kind of lower that barrier to entry. But like with Game Pass rising in price now, um I don't know if I can say the same anymore. I mean, a new gen console for GTA 6, yeah. And I think that's also part of it. Like I can't really see a world where they stop making consoles anytime soon just for the fact that they need it to keep up with the current games. So it doesn't make sense. Well, I don't know if people were suggesting that they're just gonna stop making consoles outright. I don't think that makes any sense, but um I think they were maybe talking about like a delay or like, them kind of trying to change their strategy in terms of the console sales, which still makes sense. But yeah, I think Xbox, at least in terms of getting its cultural relevancy, like getting its name back, I think they need games. But the problem is that like, they need profit right now considering the acquisition and, the shareholders, they want record profits. They don't want just profits. They want as much profit as possible. And it's kind of tough to invest in like solid single player experiences and like smaller games when, shareholders, they want live service games. They want as much money as possible. They want the next Fortnite. They want the next whatever, Call of Duty, you know what I'm saying? So, they're in a weird position. I think Game Pass is like really the one thing that's really like holding their name up and like giving them a lot of value. And now that Game Pass costs more, I don't personally think they're gonna back down on the price increase. I think they're gonna keep it at $30, the same way Nintendo, stuck to making $80 the price point for their big titles. So I don't really see them, going back on that, but we'll see. I mean, a lot of people already canceled their subscription. I think they're hoping that, they'll have a certain wave of people that cancel and then the rest will stick around. They make so much from the consoles, they probably more than any of their other products. Microsoft as a whole, I don't know. Xbox, I would be interested. Yeah, I don't know that for sure. I wonder, I think that Game Pass isn't very profitable for them at the moment, so that very well could be true. But I think, I don't know if it was this article, but I think somewhere they were talking about retailers like cutting back on, physical console stock and sales and stuff like that. I could be wrong, but I think I saw that somewhere. But yeah, it's just, I think Xbox right now is definitely in a bit of a weird position. But I'm interested to see what they're going to do in the future, especially like with the new gen consoles that are coming out, because I mean, next gen is like 2 years away now, probably. Like it's usually how many, 7-ish years between consoles. Xbox and PS5 came out in 2020, believe it or not. So it's very soon. I'm curious. I don't know if they're, yeah, it's been that long already, bro. Oh yeah, didn't Costco stop selling Xboxes? That's crazy. Yeah, I didn't hear about that, but I think I saw somewhere that, retailers are cutting back. But yeah, next gen is soon. So we'll see what they do. I'm very curious. They need a W, man. They need to turn things around. And if Game Pass goes to shit, which, it has some red flags, we'll see what happens. But I think Sony and Nintendo have definitely positioned themselves well. They can still make plenty of mistakes and, like we're seeing with Nintendo, but we'll see what happens. How more realistic are we going to get, I wonder? Yeah, that's like, I feel like the increment of like, upgrades and graphics is just like going to be so minimal at this point. It's literally like just gonna be like a new console just for the sake of keeping up. But like, I don't know. We'll see. I think there were rumors about a PlayStation like handheld. I think my brother was telling me about. I don't know how true that is, but I heard some rumors about like a PlayStation handheld, like a dedicated handheld. I don't know if that's tied to the next PlayStation that's coming out, but we'll see. And it definitely seems like, to a degree, this is something I want to talk about probably at another time, but it definitely seems like the future is moving very, very digital. And like, I think I was talking about on stream a while ago that like the next PlayStation might not come with a disc drive, which would be very upsetting for me. Yeah, I think the future of consoles it's looking kind of shaky. It's looking kind of shaky. I'm not gonna lie. Back in the day, I thought 3DS graphics were crazy. 3DS was solid. I never had one, but I know they like actually had like a 3D mode or something on it. I think from what I know or from what I heard, 3DS was a solid console. That's one I want to pick up and get modded allegedly. But yeah, tying into Xbox and like Game Pass and stuff, we also have disc drives are overrated. They're overrated. You're rage baiting me right now? You're actually rage baiting. I feel like, it's important to have. Obviously, like, on PC, obviously I don't have a disc drive. I don't care to have a disc drive. But on console, like, I feel like I would want to have the disc. That's just me. I would want to have the disc. I think they're becoming more obsolete because of, the practices that companies are doing, like Nintendo doing the game key card thing and shit like that, and like having, day one patches and stuff like that, or like where you can't play the game until you do like a initial download. So they are unfortunately becoming more obsolete, but at the same time, I still think they should be a thing. Like, you should be able to pay for a disc and have it work without needing to do a initial patch. Controversial, I know. I have to hold my mic up because this fucking mic stand's broken. PC gaming will always be chilling as long as they don't keep going towards the AI stuff. Yeah, I mean, AI, that's a whole other topic. I think AI slop, definitely. I think AI as a whole has always been around and it's always going to be a part of the game development process, so it'll always be a thing. But yeah, slop, we don't need AI slop. But as we'll get into in a bit with the Sora release, it seems like slop is the future. But anyway, let's move on to the next article since it's related to Xbox. Lost Call of Duty sales has reportedly cost Microsoft millions. Uh-oh, that's not good. That's no bueno. Let me turn this down just a little bit. So a new report shows that Microsoft's decision to put Call of Duty on Game Pass has cost it hundreds of millions of dollars. Earlier this week, Xbox announced a price hike for Game Pass holders, which we already were talking about, bringing Ultimate up from $20 to $30. 30 doubloons a month. Other subscriptions also saw increased pricing, causing many fans to get furious. Unfortunately, its effects have spread to the closed beta for Call of Duty Black Ops 7, which is not too popular, I think there might be, I have another article on Call of Duty. Already some mixed opinions on that. With Microsoft in the headlines, a new report from Bloomberg may give some insight on the situation, and it's not pretty. So yeah, apparently they lost about $300 million in sales because of Game Pass. And when you tie that in with the price increase for Game Pass, that's some red flags. That's some red flags. I think one thing that I wanted to mention with this is, like, I feel like, I could be wrong, but I feel like, a lot of the people that played Call of Duty on Game Pass are people that wouldn't have bought the game otherwise. Like me personally, I'm not very interested in COD, but if I were going to play it, I'm not spending the $70, $80, $90, $100, whatever it costs now to play it. That's what you did? Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm not going to pay $70, $80 for a game that, comes out every year and is kind of slop, COD is, but I can kind of agree on that. Not kind of, I can agree on that. Black Ops 7 is not bad, it's just boring. Did you play the beta? Was that an open beta? I have no clue. I know there's a beta, but I don't know if that's like open. Haven't been on for months because of how shit it is. Yeah, I saw they for Warzone, I think they're bringing back Verdansk, the map from 2020, and it's pretty much the same. New game, by the way. $70, $80 game, by the way. Poor indie company can't handle those kinds of losses. Oh yeah, poor indie company, Xbox, yeah. Unfortunate, or what, Activision, yeah. Poor indie company. How you doing, Bobby Vita? How you doing? Good to see you. Um, yeah, I was gonna say I feel like a lot of the people that play Call of Duty from Game Pass wouldn't have bought the game otherwise. So is it? I wonder how much of that is actually a loss that uh, is a loss on their part, because I don't know, man. I think especially now that Game Pass is $30 a month, they're gonna see a lot less players on Call of Duty, and and with Battlefield 6 on the horizon, I think Battlefield 6 is definitely gonna give them a run for their money. I think Battlefield has always come out like a month before Call of Duty historically, but they've always had their own player base. But I think if Black Ops 7 does really bad, I do think we could see a lot of people switching over to Battlefield, which I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for launch. I'm gonna wait, make sure the game is okay, make sure the servers are okay, make sure the game is okay. I'm not buying day one. I'm not pre-ordering. We're gonna make sure the game, if the game is good, I will be on there. Apparently the site had issues because so many people ran to cancel Game Pass. I heard about that too. Thank you for reminding me. I almost forgot about that. Apparently, like, the site was crashing, right? Because so many people were canceling. I think, to a degree, they were expecting a lot of people to cancel, but I think they were hoping that the amount of people that cancel gets evened out by the price increase. I don't even know, do we want to look at that real quick? Hold on. Xbox Game Pass. What do they have on Game Pass Ultimate? They have some decent stuff, and especially the first day titles, I think, make it worth it. But is this really worth 30 bucks a month? The game got shit when they introduced the OG Warzone stuff because Time to Kill's ass, and they tried to do everything but worse. Yeah, I mean, I can't speak from personal experiences. I haven't really been playing COD like that, but I know there was a lot of issues that people were having. Time to Kill, I heard. I know you just have the sweat people with movement and stuff like that. It's definitely become a very sweaty game, despite having Beavis and Butthead and Nicki Minaj skins. But yeah, like, there's some good stuff. Hollow Knight Silk Song, First Day. Anyone interested in Halo Infinite? Grounded 2? What else they got on there? They had Persona 3 Reload. Oh, they removed it. Yeah, that's the other thing that really sucks about it, is the timed stuff. Like, certain games are just too long for me to want to be on a timer. We got Minecraft, we got Hogwarts Legacy, Forza Horizon 5. We got Madden. Oh, anybody interested in Madden? Expedition 33, but that's probably going to be leaving soon. I don't know how much longer that'll be there. These are just the popular games, but let's see. What's recently added? Scott Pilgrim, War Thunder, Assassin's Creed Unity. Imagine playing Dead by Daylight through Game Pass. Yeah, that's... You guys paying 30 bucks a month for Assassin's Creed Unity? Huh? That's that's quite the deal. Skate 3, yeah, I'm pretty sure they had Skate for a while. That's like, well, there's allegedly other means you could play that game through, so I don't know if it's worth 30 bucks a month. Rayman Legend, yeah, man, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie, 30 bucks a month for all this, I don't. It's looking kind of scary, man. Stick of Truth is on sale for $5 right now. It's like 10 years. Yeah, like, I'm not gonna pay 30 bucks a month for a game I could get for $5 on a sale. Like, what are we doing, bro? And not be on a timer and not have to deal with the, it's gotten better. I will say the Xbox app has gotten better, but oh, anybody remember Games for Windows, or what? What was that? Games for Windows 10. Oof, they've come quite a way, but still not the best. Anyone want to play Zombie? Dear God, these do not look like very enticing titles, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, 30 bucks a month now for Game Pass. Anybody interested? Hold on, did I have anything else to say about this? Let's see. Yeah, I don't know if Call of Duty is going to be enough to sell Game Pass this time around. I think it's already off to a rocky start. I was looking at one of the trailers for Call of Duty, and it was at like 30k likes and like 90k dislikes. So it was a pretty bad ratio. I'm not gonna lie. I'd be interested in them giving me $30. Oh, me too, please. Was there a Peppa Pig game that I passed? Jesus. Yeah, $30 a month, Peppa Pig. Oh my god. Peppa Pig. Oh guys. Peppa Pig World Adventures. Oh, what? Dude, I gotta buy this right now. What are we what are we gonna buy this right now? Yeah, it's looking a little scary. So I think, ideally, um, Xbox would like put out games, put out solid titles, but unfortunately, with all the studio closures and all the shareholders wanting record profits, I don't think that's gonna happen. If Game Pass fails, like, would it be over for Xbox? Is that too much to say? They don't even have Hello Kitty Island on. I can't even say that. Hello Kitty Island Adventure on there. Yeah, honestly, if they had that on there, I'd pay for it, but they don't. So they lost my $30. I'm running to my PC and copping Game Pass. Yeah, in another universe maybe. But yeah, I don't think Call of Duty is gonna be enough to save them this time around. So I'm very curious what's gonna happen. I don't think it'll just implode on itself within a matter of a year. I think it'll still be around for a while, but in the long term, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Last bit of Xbox Call of Duty news. Call of Duty Black Ops 7's open beta skill-based matchmaking shakeup feels desperate, but I don't care. Okay, so for years, the Call of Duty community has been having the same argument over and over again, and it always comes back to the same four letters. SBMM, skill-based matchmaking. Skill-based matchmaking has been the most divisive part of the series' multiplayer ecosystem for more than half a decade at this point, with some unhappy players constantly bemoaning how difficult casual lobbies have become, and other equally unhappy players tapping into the proverbial get good sign above their door. Now, Call of Duty Black Ops 7 is trying to shake things up, and even though it feels like a desperate move to win back player interest, I couldn't be happier to see it happen. So yeah, basically, to kind of paraphrase, I just play Brawlhalla now. It's so damn. Call of Duty got you on Brawlhalla now. Damn. I mean, hey, Brawlhalla's fun. Yeah, apparently, Black Ops 7 open beta would be introducing a new playlist called Open Mosh Pit, a mode where skill consideration is drastically reduced during matchmaking. In other words, this playlist will throw together players with a far wider skill range of skill levels than usual. It's the exact kind of option players have been asking for since the start of the strict SBMM era. But don't be fooled into thinking the force behind the franchise have finally caved. Given Activision's former hardline stance on the matter, it seems rather obvious that the decision serves as a direct response to dipping engagement. Dipping engagement during the beta period. Still, that's what it takes to make the game more engaging. I remember the days when, oh my god, before... Wait, I might be thinking of Battlefield. I could be mixing things up, but the older Call of Duties, did Black Ops 2 have a beta and those older, I don't remember if Black Ops 3 had a beta, but I remember when, basically what I'm trying to say is I remember when betas used to be really popping, It didn't, okay. I know Battlefield always did, but I just remember the times when betas were really, really popping. So to hear that Black Ops 7 had dipping engagement, in a perfect world, Call of Duty would be not a yearly series. They would take minimum 2 years, ideally 3 between games, and really focus on adding good content in the life cycle of a game instead of just coming out with a whole new game. I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like there's definitely a world where you could see great profit from, not yearly game series. I think, I don't know. Obviously, you have games like Fortnite, but that's a free-to-play game, so that's a little bit different. But you see games like Fortnite that have great shops and stuff that make a lot of money off that. But, I don't know. I feel like if they really focused on content, they wouldn't have to do yearly releases. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know business. I don't know. But yeah, back to the skill-based matchmaking. Casual mode should be comfy and for everyone in most games. Yeah. So are you for skill-based matchmaking in that case? I would agree. I think like me, I'm definitely a casual player. Like when I hop into a game after a long day of work, I don't want to be playing with a bunch of sweats unless that's what I want to opt into, you know? And I think skill-based matchmaking works. I definitely remember the days like looking back, I definitely remember those like Modern Warfare 2 lobbies where you would hop in and immediately there'd be like one or two people with like 60 kills just like spawn camping, and just like it was just not a fun match, you know? So um again, I haven't played a COD in a little while, so I don't know if those lobbies still happen, but I think skill-based matchmaking in general is a good thing. I think, yeah, what I was going to say is like I think options is the ideal thing. I think everyone should have the option. If you want to play a skill-based matchmaking mode, you should be able to play that. If you want to play more, uh, what's the word? Without it, that should be an option. I think if you want to play ranked, that should be an option. I think the more options, the better. And, you keep more people happy and you keep retention high. I think, I don't know. I think that's the simple answer, but maybe I'm wrong. Um, it brings tears to my eyes to see COD fail like this. Call of Duty, man. COD used to be so great, man. From Modern Warfare to Black Ops 2, man, what a run, man. Man, I think it's still possible, but not if the shareholders have a say in things. I think it's certainly possible. They have the resources to make a great. They certainly have the resources to make a great game, but it's just a matter of corporate decisions. That's really what it comes down to. All the problems in the gaming industry, it really just comes down to capitalism. So, let me see what you said. In Street Fighter 6, casual matches are entirely plat diamond players and above because you don't lose rank points there. The only way to get opponents in your skill range as a new player is to do rank matches. Oh, damn. Yeah, I know fighting games work a lot differently. Again, I'm not super. I want to be more into fighting games. They're kind of daunting to me, but I want to get more into them. So, but yeah, I don't know how they work, but I know fighting games, regardless, you're getting your ass fucking beat, bro. Regardless of what rank you're in, you're just there to get beat, bro, or beat someone else up. By the way, they made a casual mode for COD Warzone, but it's bots and real players, and us sweats just go on there and practice before getting into ranked. Okay, kind of like Fortnite did with the bots and stuff. Tizzy, hi Tizzy, hi. Yeah, I think options is like the ideal situation. I think the more options, the better, and I think with Call of Duty, having a bad reception so far to Black Ops 7 and Battlefield 6 on the rise, I think they need to do whatever they got to do to keep players. Let me see if they said anything else in here. Yeah, I think they were just talking about the history of skill-based matchmaking, but yeah, pretty much they're just trying to add another option so that you can opt in or out of skill-based matchmaking for the next COD, which I think is a good idea. But I don't know, is that enough? Let me see. Do they have anything else to say? Let's see. Yeah, I think also the thing is like a lot of times with games that they kind of have to be careful with too. I don't know if very much this is the case, but in other cases you always have like a vocal minority and then the silent majority. I think a lot of times in game development there's like, especially with competitive games, there's like the vocal minority that will be screaming and screaming for like certain changes, but then when the devs make those changes or like kind of appease too much to one side, then like the game kind of goes to shit and they lose a lot of their player base, unfortunately. So I think again, in this case, I think it's a bit different. I think more options better, but for a lot of other changes, I think they definitely have to be careful and kind of stick to their gut in a sense, or like stick to what they know, because it can be very easy to like try to appease too much to one side and just kind of ruin the whole game. There was a game that did that recently, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But Yeah, man. Anyone excited? Excited for the new Call of Duty? Excited for the new Call of Duty movie? I'm pretty sure I think there's a Call of Duty movie in production too. Me. um, Honestly, I think a Call of Duty movie has potential, but will it be good? I don't know. We'll see. There's been some good video game adaptations recently, so it's possible. Um, I think if it's anything like the Modern Warfare 2 or Black Ops story, I think it could be really good. Even like something like a Nazi zombies movie with like the characters, I think that could be fun too. There's honestly potential for a Call of Duty movie. I hate to say it, but hopefully they don't screw that up. All right, let's